Virginia's upcoming election is shaping up to be one of the most watched in the nation. Pivotal battleground state with both the governorship and the attorney general seats on the line. Crime is front and center, especially a 2020 law Democrats passed called the Enhanced Earned Sentence Credit. It was wrapped in the usual feel-good rhetoric, but ended up unleashing thousands of violent offenders back into Virginia communities. Oh, shocker. Now victims' families and law enforcement warn that fixing this disastrous law will be all but impossible if Jay Jones and Abigail Spanberger get into office. Our crime correspondent, Jason Mattera, has this special report.
She was my mini-me. She loved life. She was a very strong patient advocate. I'll never get to hug my daughter again.
Virginia's enhanced early release law, which passed in 2020, allows certain inmates to reduce their prison time by up to 1/3 for so-called good behavior. Virginia Attorney General Jason Mattera says that this progressive-backed measure has unleashed thousands of high-risk offenders back into the community. More than 30% were rearrested in the first half of 2024 alone. Republican State Senator Ryan McDougal argues that this undercuts the very foundation of justice itself.
If you commit certain types of crimes, you should receive a certain type of sentence, and you should serve that sentence because it's protecting the community and it's protecting the victim.
For families like Mindy Applewhite's, it comes down to right and wrong. Her daughter, Dr. Lindsey Braun, was killed by Tobias McClain, one of the offenders released early under Virginia's new guidelines, despite having shot someone during a botched drug deal. Lindsey was pulling out of her driveway when McClain, driving more than 30 miles over the speed limit, slammed into her car.
If you're deemed a violent offender or a repeat offender, you need to do your time because you're putting people's lives in danger.
The bottom line question, Senator McDougal, is this: are Virginia communities any safer since this early release policy took effect?
The initial numbers we had were there are almost 40 different murders and homicides or manslaughters that were committed from that group of people. And just think about the individuals and the families, the victims that had to endure that because of somebody was released early.
But sentencing isn't the only issue Virginia voters need to consider when heading to the polls. Law enforcement leaders say the next governor and attorney general will influence how effectively police can do their jobs.
You can't have a safe community without a strong law enforcement organization there to protect you, to serve you. And that's being stripped away at every election, a little more and a little more.
Voters now face a defining choice, whether to back candidates promising a tougher stance on crime or to stick with policies that many say have put public safety at risk.
The Democratic statewide candidates have a different perspective. They are looking at the criminal and their consequences first, and not the victim or the impacts on the community first.
There's no words I can give you to tell you what it's like to lose a child. It's unbearable. The pendulum has swung so far left right now that common sense has gone out the door.
Chris, Republican lawmakers in Virginia have been trying to change this destructive law to make sure no more families go through what Mindy Applewhite's has. But their efforts hit a wall in the State House, where Democrats hold the majority. And if Jay Jones and Abigail Spanberger win in less than 2 weeks, this dangerous law, it's not going anywhere.
Jason, this is exactly why I call the Democrats the pro-crime party. As noted, this insane Virginia law was passed back in 2020 using the George Floyd hysteria to jam it on through. And like all things with the left, innocent Americans are paying the ultimate price, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And the guy really setting off alarms for law enforcement is Jay Jones. Of course, there's the fallout from him wishing his political opponents dead. But cops are especially worried that if he becomes attorney general, he'll move to strip them of qualified immunity, exposing officers to lawsuits just for doing their jobs. The bottom line is this guy has no business anywhere near public office, let alone a position that would make him the top law enforcement officer in the state.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi calls him the best person for the job. Crime correspondent Jason Mattera, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.